Cutting of fabric for Jhabla. Marking and cutting out the precise fabric pieces is of vital importance before you actually start sewing. In this session, we will first cut the body piece and then the additional fabric pieces for the string, facing, bangles, and a backing piece for the buttonholes. At the end of the session, you will be able to cut all the fabric pieces for a jhabla. Let's first familiarize with the tools and materials required for cutting all the fabric pieces for a jhabla. They are measuring tape, tailor's chalk, shears, pattern square, and drafted fabric. Now that we have drafted the pattern of the jhabla on fabric, we will first cut out the body piece for the jhabla. We will cut along the lines that we have drafted. We will first cut the bottom part of the jhabla. For this, cut along the shaped line 2-6. Next, cut along the curve 7-5, which is the side seam of the jhabla. We will now cut the sleeve opening 5-1. Last, we will cut along the neckline 8-9. We will now make a small notch at one center fold at the neck opening to indicate the center front. Next, we will cut the additional fabric pieces for finishing the neckline. For finishing the neckline, we will need fabric pieces to sew a string, make a facing which is wide enough to hold a string, 2 square pieces for bangles, and 1 square piece to enhance the buttonholes. We will first cut the fabric piece required for a facing with a folded shoulder line. Before we cut the fabric, we will require some measurements needed to fold and cut the neckline facing with a folded shoulder line. For this, we will first measure from the center front till the point where the neck and the shoulder meet. Now add a length of 1¼ inches along the shoulder. In our case, it comes to 8¼ inches. Measure from the shoulder till 1/4 inches under the center front neckline. In our case, it is 3 inches. We will now cut the fabric for the facing based on these measurements. From the straight cut edge of the fabric, measure and mark 8¼ inches, which was the first measurement taken. Now, fold the fabric lengthwise up to the marked point. Now measure and mark 3½ inches from the cut edge. This is our second measurement of 3 inches plus ½ inch added to it. Now fold the fabric widthwise. Make sure the inner layer is held tight in the folds. Now place the folded body piece on top of the fabric with the center front and shoulder folds aligning. Ensure that the neckline cut edge is at a right angle to the fold. Now cut the fabric along the neckline. Remove the body piece and keep aside. Now measure and mark 1¼ inches parallel along the length of the neckline. Join all the marks made. Cut along the marked line. Make a small notch at one center fold at the neck opening to indicate the center front. This will be our facing for the Jhabla neck opening. Turn the body piece over to the right side. We will now cut the fabric piece for the string of the Jhabla. We will first determine the length of the string. For this, measure around the neckline. Here, it comes to 17 inches. The total length of the string will be twice the measure of the neckline, which in our case is 17 inches plus 1 inch added to it. So, we will multiply 17 inches by 2, which comes to 34 inches. Adding 1 inch to this will give us a total length of 35 inches. Also, the fabric required for the string will have a width of 1 inch including seam allowance. Draw a straight line in the direction of the grain next to the cut edges. Measure and mark a length of 35 inches along this line. Now measure and mark 1 inch points parallel to this line. Connect the marks with a straight ruler. Connect the two lines with a right angle at both ends. Now, cut along the marked lines. We have cut the fabric for the string. We will now cut the 2 inch by 2 inch square pieces for the bangles and 1 square backing piece for the buttonholes. From the straight cut edges, measure and mark a width of 2 inches. Now, draw a line a bit longer than 6 inches parallel to the cut edge connecting the 2 inch marks made. Connect the cut edge and the drawn line at a right angle. Now, measure and mark the lengths of 2 inches, 2 inches, and 2 inches along the cut edge. Connect the marks made at a right angle to the drawn line. Cut along the marked portion. We get 3 square pieces of fabric. We have cut 2 square pieces for the bangles and 1 square backing piece for the buttonhole. In this session, we have cut out the body piece for the jhabla and additional fabric pieces for the string, facing, bangles, and a backing piece for the buttonholes. Before we conclude, let's take a look at the key steps involved. Step 1. Cut the body piece of the jhabla. Step 2. Cut the facing for the neckline. Step 3. Cut the fabric piece for the string with a length of 35 inches and a width of 1 inch. Step 4. Cut 2 inch by 2 inch square pieces for the bangles and backing piece for the buttonholes. With that, we have come to the end of this session.